favorite agriculture farm shows, including RFD Illinois, AgriTalk, RFD Today, and the Closing Market Report.
IllinoisFarmRadio.com.
It's agriculture grown locally, streamed live, and archived to hear anytime.
IllinoisFarmRadio.com.
A service of the Miller Media Group.
CEO Paul Skowron here from Warner Hospital and Health Services in Clinton. Call our family medicine clinic now to get your children's school physicals scheduled. We're accepting new patients of all ages. More info by clicking our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
DeWittDailyNews.com is the area's leading local news source 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the latest local news, obituaries, police blotter, weather forecast, and more. Head to DeWittDailyNews.com to get the local information you need to know.
From the newsroom of Regional Radio and DeWittDailyNews.com, I'm Ben Hubbard with this expanded morning newscast. Good morning and thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Ben Hubbard. The news is brought to you by Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters, as well as Connexus offering fiber internet in Clinton. Click their icon on DeWittDailyNews.com to find out more. Over the last year, the DeWitt County Public Safety Committee has discussed ending the current intergovernmental agreements, or IGAs, with the county's municipalities to provide animal control services. At August's county board meeting, Public Safety Chair Megan Myers brought forward the motion to serve notice to the municipalities of the end of these IGAs. The county wants to renegotiate the current agreements and hopes that the local townships will be willing to do so as well.
We do have a motion to bring forward. That motion would be to give notice I'll make the motion to give notice to Clinton, Farmer City, and Municipalities to discontinue the intergovernmental agreement for animal control services and offer to negotiate new intergovernmental agreements with municipalities.
Motion by Myers, is there a second? Second. Got second, Mr. Carter.
The intergovernmental agreements were originally drafted in 2016, and they are eligible to be renewed or canceled every 3 years. We're currently at the 3-year anniversary point at the end of this year. With the climbing costs, and I believe I raised this here this evening, I believe the current amount of animals, or percentage of animals we're dealing with the municipalities is about 70%. So 70% of the intakes and other events are from municipalities, and at this point in time, the costs are climbing to the extent that we really do need to have municipalities come to the table and help us figure out how best to handle that. The one that we have in agreement with Clinton right now does allow for a $100 fine to be written, and that is to help compensate. The issue we have with that is oftentimes animal control is called out, and there's no citation to be written, so they can't recover the cost of that call. Oftentimes they do write the citations, and not all of them are paid. So really, it's in the county's best interest to be able to work with them and come to an agreement, so that we can continue to provide services but cover our costs.
Board Chair Joe Whitty expressed his concerns about not having enough time to negotiate with the municipalities before the current agreements are set to expire on December 1st.
So the one question that I have on this is, I think the current agreement is set to renew, is it December 1st unless we were to send them notification?
December of 2000, and well, it'd be every 3 years would be this year.
Okay,
End of this year, December of 2025.
I guess if we send them notice, they'll probably get it by September, the time that we have allotted, then between now and the renew, that in your opinion, sufficient time to negotiate, or do we have an opportunity to extend it for a period of time while we work through those negotiations?
And Mr. Markwell, can you comment? Can we offer to extend that?
State's Attorney Dan Markwell noted that all 3 of the IGAs between Wapella, Farmer City, and Clinton are identical and only address dogs running at large. He shares why the IGAs were created in the first place.
Well, I guess I got a couple of questions, because the intergovernmental agreement we have with Wapella and Clinton and Farmer City, they're all identical. And the only thing that they address are dogs running at large. And just by way of background for newer members of the board, back in 2016, my assistant, who was prosecuting dog running at large cases, saw that we're only bringing in on a state charge, the fine is $25. And for the amount of work we were doing, he came up with the idea, hey, let's get intergovernmental agreements with municipalities and we can recoup more money that way. And in case you don't know, so when the county board appoints a animal control administrator, her duties through state law apply countywide. They don't stop at the city limits of any municipality. So for statutes like dogs running at large, she can pursue those anywhere in the county. The question is, what are the fines on those basically? So if you write a state ticket, it's $25, it goes in the pet population fund. In addition to state law, if there's dogs running at large in unincorporated areas, the county can also pass ordinances, which we've done. In the county, for dogs running at large, the minimum fine is $50 and it goes up to $500. And that's basically based on, if it's a repeat offender. And then the animal control administrator can also enforce municipal ordinances if we have an intergovernmental agreement. So that was the whole purpose of getting these intergovernmental agreements together.
Markwell adds that ordinances do not do any good if they are not being enforced with citations. He requested to be provided with the number of calls that animal control responded to compared to the number of tickets written.
I haven't seen any statistics from our animal control facility, but I would like to know, how many dogs we have seized from municipalities, over the past couple of years, because we've clearly ran a deficit the past couple of years out there. And then of that, how many citations have been written? Because the procedure should be, if there's a violation for dog running at large, animal control administrator or one of her employees would write like a traffic citation. And on the citation, it'd give them a time to have it paid by. If they don't pay it, then that would be referred to my office to file an ordinance violation in court to try to prosecute it that way. So I've checked this week, and I don't show basically since December of 2022 that I've had referrals to my office for prosecution in court. And I checked with the city, and they had 2 dogs running at large citations that Mr. Harris sent over, but he didn't write those himself. He asked the city to write those, so we didn't get the money from those. So I want to make sure that citations are being written, because the ordinances don't do us any good if they're not being enforced. So I'd say before we throw out the ordinances, let's make sure that we're doing what we can to enforce them. I guess that would be my question.
Myers adds that much of the language is outdated, and that could be altered when the IGAs are renegotiated. Ultimately, the board voted unanimously in favor of giving notice to the municipalities that the current IGAs are ending and they would like to renegotiate. Coming up shortly on this expanded newscast, consuming raw milk can negatively affect your health. It's easy to forget that policing is not just about catching bad guys, it's also about supporting your local community. Piatt County Sheriff Mark Vogelzang explains that his office assisted in escorting 35 runners from Monticello all the way to Peoria to support St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital.
St. Jude's Run is held every year to help raise some funds for the St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Great cause. Every year they reach out to us. They've got a run where people, roughly about 35 runners, I think this year, ran from Monticello all the way to Peoria. So they took off on Friday night, roughly about, I think it's 4 or 5 o'clock ish, and then ran through the night all the way to Peoria. And obviously when you're running on those roads, there's a lot of traffic. So we provide a little bit of an escort for them to make sure nobody comes up onto the group and has a crash. So every year, we always look forward to supporting that organization, that group, that fundraising event, and help raise some money for a good cause.
The sheriff indicates that the event doesn't require a lot of manpower, but he has great deputies who are willing to work overnight to support the cause.
Yes, just entails one deputy that follows them all the way there. This year, we broke it up into 3 different segments. In years past, we've usually had about 2 deputies that would rotate about halfway through, and then the second deputy takes them into Peoria. But each year, organizations, departments across the state will escort the runners all the way to Peoria. ISP, each of the local agencies will take their groups into Peoria. So it's a great event. If you're around next year and anywhere near Peoria, I'd recommend you stop by and watch it. It's a lot of fun.
Vogelzang feels that the community outreach from their department is an essential piece of their relationship with the public. He notes that it's important not to be disconnected.
Again, I go back to great staff, our deputies. We have done an awful lot of foot patrols this summer, getting out, interacting with the community. Our 4th of July event, again, we're out there, we're talking to the people. We recently had a deputy assigned to the Mansfield homecoming event. That was a week ago. So, just getting out and having that interaction, talking to the citizens, that's what it boils down to, just having that interaction, that communication. You don't want to be disconnected. There's always issues that, even within our small county, the villages tend to be smaller villages, but each village has, different issues. And attending some of those meetings, getting out, doing some foot patrol and talking to people, finding out what's going on and how we can address those and keep people safe.
Labor Day is coming up quickly, and we'll have more with Sheriff Vogelzang on staying safe this weekend on Regional Radio. You're listening to the WHOW Morning Show. Let's take a quick break with a word from our sponsors.
School is right around the corner. Let us help you get to class in style at Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton and Farmer City. This is Scott Baum. We have a great savings on the entire Chevy lineup, from the economic Trailblazer and Trax to the upscale Silverado or Tahoe. We have you covered. Our used and certified pre-owned cars are getting straight A's also. This school year, see all our inventory online. Chevrolet, together let's drive. BaumChevyBuick.com, right from the start.
Experience the power of better connection with Connexus Fiber Internet. Connexus delivers ultra-fast, reliable speeds to keep you connected at the speed of life. Whether you're working from home, streaming your favorite shows, or gaming with your friends, Connexus has you covered. Say goodbye to buffering and dropped calls and say hello to fiber fast internet. Ready to upgrade your connection? Sign up today by clicking the Connexus icon at DeWittDailyNews.com. Nothing connects us like Connexus.
You're listening to the WHOW Morning Show. I'm Ben Hubbard. In today's world, food and dietary trends come and go, but that doesn't mean all of them are good for you. Caitlin Mellendorf, nutrition educator for the University of Illinois Extension, explains that the trend of having raw or unpasteurized milk can seem appealing. However, it can leave the door open for harmful bacteria to enter your body.
Yeah, so you're right. There are definitely food trends that pop up. So, we had cauliflower was like the big food for at least a good 2 years. And then I think kale followed that. So we get we get different food trends, and some of them are great. Promoting fruits and vegetables is always something that I can get behind, as a nutrition professional. Raw milk is one that definitely from a food safety perspective is really kind of scary. The purpose of pasteurizing. So pasteurizing is a heat process that kills off bacteria and other pathogens that make humans sick from milk. And by doing that, really all that the processing does is it heats the milk to a certain temperature, holds it at that temperature, and then we cool it back down. So then it can get bottled and go into your refrigerator case at the grocery store. That is a really great way. It's like basically what we do with other raw foods, right? Raw meat, raw chicken. We cook these to certain temperatures to get rid of and destroy the pathogens, the bacteria, and the microbes that are associated with those foods. So with ground beef, we typically think about E. coli. With poultry products like chicken and turkey, we think about salmonella. With raw milk, because there's a lot of different potential pathogens going on, like things that we are maybe a little less familiar with. So things like Campylobacter, some of the cryptosporidiums. I'm not going to go too much into the terminology and the different bacteria.
Mellendorf says there are a lot of different levels to pasteurization when it comes to temperature and the length of the process. She adds that raw milk can be especially dangerous for those with weaker immune systems like children, pregnant mothers, and the elderly.
but there's a lot of different pathogens in raw milk. And so there's different levels of pasteurization, and all of them work effectively. Some people really prefer a lower temperature pasteurization where you don't heat the milk quite as hot, but you leave the milk for a longer time. It just takes a little longer to kill off all the pathogens, but eventually it does it. And so the concern from our perspective is when we're consuming raw milk, we're getting in all those potential bacteria, especially for young kids, for pregnant moms, for our older adult populations where their immune systems maybe can't tolerate or handle any big amount of bacteria. They're going to be very high risk for getting different types of food poisoning from that raw milk. And so consuming pasteurized milk is really that best practice.
One concern some may have is that pasteurization, the pasteurization process removes beneficial nutrients from the product. Millendorf says most of the good parts of milk are highly resistant to heat, meaning most of what is removed is only those harmful pathogens.
One of the concerns of is pasteurization killing off other nutrients in the milk? That's something that I get questions on. Is it still okay? Am I depleting the nutrition in the milk if I heat it? And no, a lot of the things like calcium in milk, potassium, some of the minerals are not affected by heat. Proteins in the milk are not affected by heat, nor are the sugar, the lactose, that sugar in milk, that's not changed by heat. In theory, we could destroy some of the vitamins, but any type of vitamin is a big structure. And so heat can destroy some amount of that. But again, we can look at different temperatures of pasteurization to help preserve those even further. But we do this in the same way with things like meat, right? We know that there's vitamins and there's minerals in meats as well, but we still cook those to certain temperatures for safety. And if we're getting a lot of different foods in the diet, we're not just focusing on milk maybe as our protein source for everything, but we're getting in a mix of things. We're having seafood and we're having vegetables and we're having grains like rice or pasta. We're getting in a variety of things. So even if there is some destruction of those vitamins by pasteurizing the milk, we can make those up by eating a variety of foods. And so we're getting a good mix of things. So for my money, the food safety risk of raw milk is too high for me, for my family. So we're always going to choose pasteurized milk.
Mellendorf says that if you must consume raw milk, make sure it comes from a trusted farm that has worked with the Illinois Department of Ag and the local health department. Learn more at extension.illinois.edu. Richland Community College plays a big part in the Farm Progress Show when the event is hosted in Decatur every other year. Joe Feinstein is VP of Operations for the school.
So the college has had heavy investment in the show ever since it first came to Decatur. Our goal is really to ensure that we're able to provide quality experiences both to our students and the community, connecting them with farmers, local farm resources, technologies, tools, and information to not only help them be better educated about farming in general, but also to learn more about what is needed for their craft and to succeed.
The permanent Decatur site debuted in 2005. The Farm Progress Show is held in Boone, Iowa in even years and in Decatur in odd years. USDA's latest topsoil moisture condition report shows a trend of overall drying across the country. Now for your local obituaries. Bruce A. Mandrell, 63, of Clinton, Illinois, passed away at 8:37 p.m. August 16, 2025 at his family residence in Clinton. No services are planned at this time. The family has entrusted Calvert Funeral Home in Clinton with cremation rights. Memorials may be directed to Second Chance Pet Adoption. Online condolences may be made at calvertmemorial.com. August 7th, 2025, Nancy Irene Douglas Stone passed away peacefully at the age of 82. There is no service planned at this time. In lieu of flowers, memorials may be made to the Westward Heights Care Center, 150 Caring Way, Lander, Wyoming, zip code 82520, or to the Waynesville United Methodist Church, 202 Isham Street, Waynesville, Illinois, 61778. Get news anytime from your computer or your mobile device at DeWittDailyNews.com. That's DeWitt County's #1 source for news, sports, police blotter, obituaries, and more. Best of all, it's all free all the time, right at your fingertips at DeWittDailyNews.com. Stick around because right here on WHOW Network News and Network Sports coming up shortly. And then at 7:40, we'll be joined by Randy Miller and Seth Lawrence live from Richland College in Decatur, reporting from Farm Progress. Get news anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington.